We want our country back! We want our country back! We want our country back!
The images are chilling, but this is the reality of right-wing extremism in Britain today. I've been reporting on terrorism for 18 years, since just before the 9/11 attacks in America. My work has focused on the extreme Islamist group Al-Muhajirun. But now there's a new threat emerging in the UK from the neo-Nazis of the far right. Sir Mark Rowley, the former head of counter-terrorism at the Metropolitan Police, has given Newsnight an exclusive interview because he's so concerned.
For the first time since the Second World War, we have a domestic prescribed terrorist group. It's right-wing, it's neo-Nazi, it's proudly white supremacist, portraying a violent and sort of wicked ideology.
One neo-Nazi group has been at the forefront of aggressive right-wing extremism in Britain.
What are you so afraid of? What are you so scared of? Are you afraid of defeat? Nobody builds anything if they're afraid of defeat. Things need to change. We have to sow our seed and we have to reap our crop. We've got to break the ground first. Without violence, nothing is ever accomplished in history. A little creative destruction has to occur in order for something new to rise out of the ashes.
This is actually the Nazi SA symbol. They were explicitly neo-Nazi organisation.
Rajan Basra is an academic researcher specialising in extremism. He downloaded this propaganda material before the group was banned.
In 15 or 20 years' time, the black man will have the whip hand over the white man.
The pre-ban propaganda we examined is shocking.
Money degrades all the gods of man and turns them into commodities. This bill of exchange is the real god of the Jew. Thus we find every tyrant backed by a Jew. In truth, the cravings of oppressors would be hopeless and the practicability of war out of the question if there were not a handful of Jews to ransack pockets. Hitler was right, there's a worldwide Jewish conspiracy to control the money.
And sometimes bizarre.
Well, it's kind of gross, but also kind of warm and comforting, so...
Pretty extreme, obviously, to use this kind of iconography.
Absolutely, and you see this all throughout their imagery, their videos, their demonstrations. They were Sieg Heiling, they were unfurling pictures of Hitler. They were very professional in their imagery and what they produced. It was available on YouTube, on Twitter, and so on. But there's more to this movement than just their provocative videos. They had a strategy that they looked to follow, and they sought to intellectualize their movement on some level.
We showed this material to Mark Rowley. There's quotes from Adolf Hitler in them, there's instructions on pretty good privacy. What do you make of all this?
I think this really illustrates how the problem has changed, and a very big and significant change that we all need to be concerned about. We've always had racist jobs in Britain and other Western countries, but this is very different, isn't it? This is a strategy for a terrorist group.
I wasn't very politically engaged in my 20s, and I was just coasting through my life, just working in regular jobs, just as tech admins and things like this. And I would continually listen to audiobooks in my ear while I was doing it. And by the time I came to my early 30s, I realised that the world was not being run as I approved of. It was becoming remarkably liberal in many different ways. And liberal philosophy has essentially been subverted by Jewish collectivism, and this is a problem.
I know you're out there! You're out there somewhere! I will find you!
They promote homophobia, they promote violence and terrorism, and they have no place in this country.
Just how extreme the supporters were became clear when they celebrated the murder of Joe Cox MP in 2016.
And thank you everyone for bonding together and coming here and working hard to let this happen.
This summer, a pre-ban member pleaded guilty to a plot to murder another MP, and a series of extreme right-wing terror plots have been stopped, including a plan to murder people attending a gay pride event. Colonel Richard Kemp has spent his career fighting terrorism. He chaired the government's Cobra intelligence group and says the group was ignored.
It was a major failure, and we've seen the consequence. We've seen the latest London Bridge bombing led by one of their network. We've seen numerous other murders carried out by their members in different places around the world.
Sargon of Akkad made me everything that I am today. When I saw Sargon of Akkad, I knew that I had found my guru for life who was going to help me. And here I am. Thank you, Sargon. Thank you, Sargon.
And are you learning any more about how investigators are now piecing information together? Do you know anything about the attacker?
We don't. It was reported to me that he's actually not from this community. Apparently, his name was released as Sam Hyde. That was the name I was given.
I would describe him as a hardened terrorist, somebody who has had huge influence on the extremist scene in this country over many, many years.
You know, essentially, I mean, I certainly heard the words used like blowhard and windbag in relation to some of these prominent members of the networks. And I think they felt basically that, in some cases anyway, that we're looking at people who talk a big war, don't actually fight it, and don't pose a really big threat to the UK.
There is, to be frank, far too much tolerance of extremism in our country. But it is time to say enough is enough.
I still believe that we are underestimating the potency and the dangerousness of the radicalisers who don't carry knives, guns and overtly plot terrorist attacks. We've consistently underestimated their effect within our own community, within our own country.
This week the focus is on one man, but beyond that the bigger challenge is how to tackle those who share his views.